you guys, it's Sarah and welcome to my channel. Excuse my voice if it sounds a little bit different. I got really sick, I got pneumonia, and so I've been trying to recover, and that's why I haven't posted in a little while. But I've had this Christmas themed activity page made for a while now. I've already recorded it on how I put it together, so I'm going to show that to you in this video. Here's what it looks like. It is a 2-page little Christmas holiday train. I don't know if you guys have those going through your city, but we always have Christmas trains going through. The train detaches, so it just attaches with Velcro, but it can come right off into the 2 pieces. And then little kids can use Velcro to connect it and build a whole train. And then of course it comes with these 4 little finger puppets. They're so cute. A little Santa and a little penguin and that one of those little Christmas Santa gnomes and then a reindeer. So it's really cute. And this one was definitely inspired by, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Rocky Mountains in Canada, like Banff, Alberta, or in BC. I've been to Alberta before and it's just so beautiful. So it's like classic Christmas, snowy mountain kind of look with the night sky. You can see in the background too a silhouette of Santa with his reindeer in the sky. And so I just love the design. I've never seen a Christmas activity page that looks like this. I think it's really unique and really fun, and it just gives all the classic Christmas vibes. It's not hard to make. And yeah, I'll have the template available on my Patreon. As always, the templates that are on my Patreon are mainly for if you're like me and you're wanting to make these in bulk and cut out multiple copies at a time. But if not, you can just go to the Patreon and get the SVG or JPEG files and just delete any extra copies if you did just want to do a single copy. And then I'll also add the printable PDF on my website. Give me a few days though. I still have a couple of previous PDFs that I need to upload to my website still, so I will get to it. But if you did want to make this one for Christmas there and just cut it out by hand, you can do that too with the PDF. Okay, thanks so much you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, I'm going to start with 8" by 8" sheets of felt, and I'm using a nice dark blue to make it so that the background and then make it look like it's the night sky. And then I have these 2 cutouts of these white snowy mountains, so I'm going to sew one of them all the way around the border and the other one all the way around the border as well. And I'm just going to sew them so that their peaks are at the top of the page. I know they don't line up at the bottom, but it doesn't matter. They're actually both going to be covered by other mountains anyways. And then I have these little stars that you can either sew on or hot glue. I'm going to hot glue those on. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab the purple mountains and I'm going to lay them in place overlapping the white mountains. And then you'll see these white snowy pieces. Some of them fit over top of the purple mountains. So there's a smaller one and a bigger one that overlaps the peaks there. And then on the other page, it's the same thing. You'll have these 2 white snowy tops that you can just hot glue onto the peaks of the mountains. And what I'm going to do with the purple one is I'm not going to bother sewing all the way around the border. I'll actually leave it open. It can be a little pocket, that's fine. I'm just going to do a stitch right around the bottom. I'm not even going to bother sewing down the sides right now because when I do the end, I have to sew around the whole border of the page anyways. The sides will get sewn down at the end when I'm connecting the pages together. Next, we're going to take a blue layer of mountains and overlap those on each page. And again, there's these white snowy mountain tops. I think I only have some on the one side of the page. So again, I'm going to sew down the bottom strip of that blue mountain, leaving the sides alone. And then I have this one that goes on this page, and you can see it kind of continues the mountain there. So it looks a little bit more natural. So you can try to get those to line up if you want to, but it's not really a big deal. I'm going to sew them about right there, just a bottom stitch at the bottom, and then again I'll hot glue on the tops. And next I'm going to sew down these these dark green trees. I'll sew them down about here and here, just enough to cover the bottoms of the mountain and make sure no dark blue of the background page is showing through. So I think they should be good there. Again, just a bottom stitch along the bottoms here. And then I also have these white strips of snow. They're just going to be sewn on at the very bottom, so you can sew those down as well. I'm just going to do a full, actually I won't bother sewing the sides and the bottom because again, that's going to get sewed on at the very end when I do the whole connecting the book. So I'll just go ahead and sew down
at the top of this white strip here, and then at the bottom of this green forest. I'll do that with each page. So that's the pages themselves, like the backgrounds of the pages themselves. I'm going to put those aside for a minute. And there's a little bit of excess overhanging here on the back. I might just trim that off just to make it so everything lines up. I think that's the only spot. And I'll do a little trimming here just to make it so that they all line up with the page. Putting those to the side for just a moment, I'm going to get started on the other parts of this page. So let's work on these finger puppets. I have 4 of them. One of them is a snowman. I'm going to go ahead and sew 2 copies together just around the border, leaving the bottom part open. And then I'll hot glue on the hat and the scarf. For this Santa gnome, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the 2 layers of the red pieces here. I'll go ahead and sew around the border, leaving the bottom part open. And then I'll just hot glue on this white piece and this red hat. I actually have some little peach colored paint markers, and I'm going to color on a nose, and then I'll hot glue on this little mustache over top. With this deer, I have these white eyes and black eyes and this little white belly. I'll be hot gluing those on, but first I'm going to again sew around the border of the deer with these 2 brown copies together with the antlers tucked in between at the top so that those get attached. And again, I'll leave the bottom part open. And then last but not least, we have our little penguin. So again, same idea. I'm going to take those 2 black copies, sew them together around the border, leave the bottom open, and then I will hot glue on the white details with the black eyes. And again, I'll use some paint markers to draw on details of maybe a orange nose and some pink rosy cheeks. And then also same with the Santa. I'll use my paint markers to draw on a nose and 2 little eyes. Okay, here's how the 4 finger puppets look up close. And then you can see, like I said, the noses and some of the details of the faces I just drew on with paint markers, and I think that works really well. That's what the backs of them look like. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 copies of the front part of my red train and 2 copies of the back part, or the second half, and I'm going to sew the 2 copies each together, but leaving the tops open. So I'm just going to sew down at the sides and then down at the bottoms. Okay, those are stitched together. I'll bring it in close to show you exactly where I started and ended the stitches there. It doesn't really matter where you want to do it. It's up to you. So those are the 2 trains, and then the tops parts are open for the finger puppets. Next is one of the fun parts. We're going to hot glue on some black wheels all along each of these spots here. But the fun part is I'm going to hot glue on some of these little Christmas lights. And I'm going to start with pink and then orange, like kind of in the order of the rainbow, except replacing red with pink. So pink, orange, yellow, green, and blue. And then I'm going to restart on this one. Again, pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, and we'll finish with a pink. It doesn't really matter what order you do them in. The only thing is that in the template, it does like assume that you're only going to use 2 yellow ones on the train. And when you do it in this order, it does use up exactly 2 yellow. So if you're going to change the colors around, you might need to add another yellow one. And then I'll get those all hot glued onto there. And then I also have this little strip of red, this little red rectangle. What I'm going to do is hot glue half of that onto the backs of one of these trains. And then on this one, I'm going to add a little Velcro dot, and I'll add a little Velcro dot on this side here so that kids could take these 2 trains off the page and connect them with that Velcro dot. So that's how the train looks when it's all glued together. And then there's the little strip on the back side that is hot glued on one side, and then it has those Velcro dots on the other. I should mention, just in case you're new to the channel, these are self-adhesive Velcro dots. And I always just add hot glue to the backs of them because by themselves, without the hot glue, they're not quite strong enough to stay stuck. But the hot glue really helps. You can't sew these on, unfortunately. You have to get the non-self-adhesive ones if you want to sew them on, because otherwise the sticky stuff on that makes it adhesive will gunk up your needle and it's no good to sew those on. That's how the train looks. It's so cute. Let's go ahead and grab 2 other sheets of 8" by 8" felt, and these are just sheets that I get from Amazon. They're a lower quality than the Korean felt, so I always use these for the back sides of the pages because very often I will wrap them in fabric anyways. And of course, I have the perfect fabric that matches it. I found this at my local fabric store. It was $8 a meter, which is pretty good. That's the highest that I tend to pay for fabric. Usually I try to get it to $5 a meter, but this one was $8 a meter, but it was so worth it because look how cute and perfectly it matches like with the little themes. Look at the snowmen. Like I didn't design this to match this. I found this after, so you guys know I need someone to appreciate the perfect fabric because my husband doesn't, my kids don't care. I'm the only one who is so excited about this. So I need to find other people in the world who are also excited about things like this. And then the little snow tops and the snow hills and the ski, like the little gondola here, it just goes so well with like skiing and mountains. And I just thought it was perfect for the design of this activity page. So that's what we're going with. I've cut out 2 sheets of that to wrap them around my 8" by 8" sheets of felt. So I'm going to wrap those around and clip them in place at the corners. Okay, so that's what the 2 sides will look like. So I'm going to just clip those onto each of the, like the back sides of each of my pages. And then for my binding pieces, I'm going to go ahead and use a darker blue color. I wasn't sure what color to use, but these are just 3 or 2 millimeter thick felt that I cut out with my scalloped edge fabric scissors. I just cut them out by hand, just big enough to fit in between the front and back sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew around the whole border. And this is where I will, like I mentioned earlier, I will be actually sewing down over the sides of the mountains and at the bottom of the snow and all that good stuff. So this, how it will look in the end is it will be a little booklet. Kids can open it up and they have that whole little scene to play with. And then I also have my felt handmade in Canada business tags. I'm going to sew that in at the top of the corner here so that my customers can know where this is from and where it was made. Okay, I'm then going to use my heavy duty hole punch to put 2 holes into the side binding pieces here so that I can connect them with my binder rings, and then that also allows customers to add pages if they want to. Here's what the binder rings look like that I always use. I always use the same size. I just find they're a really good size for building a little book, and they just work really well. They're not too tight. It's easy to open and close. The only thing left to do is some hot gluing. We're all done with the sewing. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to get this strip of self-adhesive Velcro, and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces, and I'm going to hot glue each of them just down over top of the white snow at the bottom. And it's okay if they overlap. My Velcro is actually a little bit thicker than the snow. It's okay. It's not a big deal because it all kind of looks like snow at the bottom anyways. So it's peel and stick, so you can peel it off. I'm going to add hot glue, and then I'll just attach 2 strips at the bottom of each side. Okay, those Velcro strips are hot glued down, and now I'm going to take the other side of the Velcro, but in the form of some Velcro dots, and I'm going to hot glue those onto the backs of the wheels for both of the trains so that the trains can connect to that Velcro piece through the wheels. So those self-adhesive Velcro dots are all hot glued on. And let's go ahead, I'll attach the 2 pieces of the train together, and I'm just going to tuck all the finger puppets into the train here. So all those Christmas guys can ride the train, and like I said, kids can remove the train and play with it all on its own, or they can play with it on the page. That completes the book with the exception of one final piece that I added, but I've left this piece to the very end because, full disclosure, This piece is a pain in the behind to cut out. It's not that the Cricut doesn't cut it out. It's just that because there are so many tiny, like it's just so small in size that it just doesn't cut out very like totally. And I had to go through with my scissors and actually cut out some of these smaller sections. And I try to design this with being like having the most basic outline and not having fancy little details, just basic enough but that it could cut out, but still able to tell what it is. Like it's supposed to be a Santa sleigh with the reindeer. And I'm just gonna hot glue that at the top of the page so that, you know, there's a silhouette of Santa with his reindeer in the background. But to be honest, I'm probably gonna just use the 3 that I cut out. And I don't know if I'll add this detail to other copies of this page that I make. Like I'll add it to the first 3, and then after that, I might just take it out of the template. I'm not sure. You can decide if you want to keep it in or not. Give it a try. It's included in the template, so try doing the cutout and let me know how you find it. It's not too bad. I might be exaggerating a little, but it's just nice to have the pieces cut out clean and quickly, and you lift it and everything's clean and crisp. With this one, it won't be. You're going to have to go around in a few spots and just do those extra cuts with your scissors. Here's the other pieces as well. So they do look cute, and I do love the addition of having Santa with his reindeer flying through the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that down on the background. Okay, so that is hot glued on. Go ahead and try the cutting and the hot gluing of that piece at least once, and then you can decide if it's worth it. Okay, that's the whole book. I love how it turned out. It's so cute. It makes me so happy. That Velcro is super strong, so that's great. And yeah, I really love this page. I think this is, I say this in a bunch of my videos, but I think this might be my favorite design. I just love Christmas theme. I love the mountains. I love everything about this one. Okay, thanks so much you guys for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel if you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. For those of you who are on my Patreon or you're curious to see what it looks like, what the template looks like that's available on my Patreon, I'm just going to quickly go over the bulk template that I personally use, and I use this to try to make 6 copies of this page at a time. So you'll notice that with each template, it's designed on a 12-inch by 12-inch to be cut on a 12-inch by 12-inch cutting mat or a sheet of felt, and each cut will get you either 1, 2, 3, or 6, like enough for 6 copies to make 6 sets. So let me just go through it quickly with you. I'll start off on this side because this is more simpler. I can only fit 1 whole set of the forest in a single 12-inch by 12-inch cutting sheet. So with the forest, just 1 of those cuts on your sheet of felt gives you enough for 1, so you're going to have to do that cut 6 times. Same with the purple mountain, that gives you enough for 1 of the sets, so you'll have to do this cut 6 times if you're going to make a set of 6. If you're only making a single set of 1, then you just have to do it once. This white one gives you enough for 1 set of all of the white pieces that you'll need. So you'll see the white mountains, 2 white mountains in there. You'll see 2 white rectangular strips that go at the bottom. You'll see a pair of these snowmen that will make 1 snowman finger puppet. You'll see the details for the stars and the snowy mountaintops. You'll see a white belly. That's for 1 copy of a reindeer. You'll see the Santa gnome beard and mustache and the penguin details. So that's all. If you, just 1 cut gives you enough for 1 of all of the white pieces. So if you're making 6 of these, you need to do this white cut 6 times. Then you have the blue, the lighter blue mountains. That gives you enough for 2. So if you're making 6, you just have to cut that out 3 times. This is the cut for the little Christmas lights, and it shows all 1 color here, but actually what you're going to do is I'll show you a picture of how I set up my cutting mat when I do this. You're going to have one of these corners be a pink sheet of felt, another corner will be blue, another corner will be green, and another corner will be orange. And that will cut out enough for 6 copies of all of the colors that you need, except for the yellow, which will be in this next cut. But this way, instead of just doing a whole sheet full of just pink lights and a whole sheet full of just orange lights and then having all these tiny little light pieces that you have to keep track of, I just broke it up into 4 different sections. So I'll put a picture here of what that looks like on my cutting mat when I cut it out. And then this one is filled with the yellow pieces. So you'll have a bunch of copies of the yellow snowman and then the yellow
Christmas lights in this cut here. This cut's enough for 3 sets of the reindeer. This one cuts enough for 3 sets of the penguin, of the silhouette Santa and the reindeer, 3 sets of black eyes for the penguin and the reindeer, and then 3 sets of the black train circles for the wheels on the train. And then finally, between these 2 red cuts here, those will give you enough for 2 copies of all of the red pieces that you need. So between these 2 12-inch by 12-inch cuts, you'll get 2 copies of the train sets. You'll get 2 copies of the Santa gnome, and those are really the only red pieces that are in this whole activity page. So that's what the template looks like. Again, I will have these on my Patreon, so you just save them to your computer and then you adjust them to the indicated size that I indicate in the captions of the photos. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Hope this helps, and we will see you soon.